Hello, Culture Matters podcast. Here's a quote just for this episode. Economics must not be relegated to classrooms and statistical offices, and must not be left to esoteric circles. It is the philosophy of human life and action, and concerns everybody and everything. It is the pith of civilization and a man's human existence. Ludwig von Mises. Today, we are tributing with our guest, friend of the Culture Matters podcast, longtime dear friend of mine, Culture Matters, way back. Man, I'm thinking Internet Earner Summit circa
Whatever.
2000.
Who
Maybe
knows? Yeah.
17, 18. Kayvon Kay. We are giving a tribute to a mentee, a student of Ludwig von Mises. His name was Charlie Kirk, a teen that started reading some of these obscure economic treatises, political works, and decided that economics was about human life, action, and concerned everybody and everything. Kayvon, thanks for coming on the Culture Matters podcast and talking about Charlie. I watched a video of you over a week ago
I was
that
on,
that
yeah.
stopped me. It stopped me in my tracks. Why? Why did it stop me in my tracks? Where was that coming from? The
It,
passion, the emotion, the sincerity was overwhelming.
yeah. And it's interesting. Like it did, I think the world, it rocked me a little different. And I want to say this because all the comments, what about Gaza? What about that? What about it? It's, it's a world war we're talking about. We're talking about years and lineages of fighting and terror and all that stuff. What we saw happen on that day was someone who just spoke his voice in this world of what we call free speech and got shot in front of his own wife and his kids. And I think for me personally, what it really set me off was when I thought about, I refuse to watch I think anybody that watches that video is psychotic. So I have not watched it. I just obviously heard, a bullet went through his neck. I will not watch it. How could you watch someone actually dying in life? We see this in movies. We don't see this in real life. And I think it's crazy that we're celebrating this. That's a whole different story. But what I keep thinking about is that bullet going into the neck. And in an instant, those two little girls of his lose a father. It makes me emotional because I'm a father of two little girls. His wife, a widow. His parents lose their son. And then I go deeper and I go, this generation just lost someone who, in my opinion, regardless of all of his opinions, overall was really good for this young generation. I'm not saying everything he was saying. I don't agree with everything he was saying. And that's the whole point of free speech. You don't have to agree with everything, but you cannot deny a lot of what he was saying was positive and not wrong. And sure as hell is in line with my values. I'll tell you that much. And I don't know what it was. We talk about the powers of be. We talk about all these people controlling us. We talk about all the bullshit that happened with COVID. We just watch it happen and nobody cares. Nobody's talking about it. Nobody's actually talking about the PSYOPs playbook that's being played out right now. The PSYOPs playbook. What's the PSYOPs playbook? No, we're not talking. This isn't talking about the world. The world is flat. This isn't talking about men are becoming women and women becoming men and all this. We're talking about they wrote this book in centuries. Centuries has done this. Wars, countries do this. Politics is doing this. We've just mainstream it and nobody even sees it's happening. There's three basic rules. First is what? Is divide. In order to control, in order to control the society. You want to control the narrative. And we can talk about that later. Like, why would this need to happen? Because you kind of need this to happen. But in order to control, the first thing you need to do is what? You need to create division. Left against right, men against women, black against white, neighbors against neighbors. And once that division is there, we're starting the process. We got internal conflict. We got them fighting. We got people who are not united because unity is the one thing the power does not want, because unity is peace and peace is power. And when everybody is united, it's hard to control. Okay, so let's take a step back. Let's take a step back and ask that question. Okay, if that is true, okay, let's just talk about logically. I'm not talking about, this is psyops and Kayvon's conspiracy. No, I'm just thinking, okay, rule number one is, in order to control a nation and in order to control a group of people, let's just say, there needs to be division. Can you argue that? Can you honestly, logically argue that? And here's the thing. If you can argue that I'm wrong or that is wrong, I would love to hear the argument. I just logically go, yeah. If everybody is together, it'd be kind of hard to control everybody. But when there's division and they're all distracted and worried about fighting each other and worried about defending their own bullshit, it's easier to control the narrative above them that they don't even know that's being controlled. So let's just say that is that. Okay. So then what's number two? It's chaos. It's chaos. So once we divide, we need to create chaos. Okay, well, how do we create chaos? Okay, well, let's look at the headlines. Are the headlines that we read, are they there to inform or to inflame? Because they're there to inflame. They're there to create more chaos, to create more separation, to create these extremist things that are happening. Okay, and then step three is the best thing ever. Well, once we have created division, and once we have created chaos, it's now we need to control. What does that mean? Okay, we need to control them. We need, because as humans, once we have this division, okay, and once we're in chaos, what do we crave, X? What do we crave? We crave the fix. We crave the solve. We want the answer. We want the prescription, metaphorically and seriously here, okay? So what do? They give you the same prescription that they wanted to give you, but you thank them for helping you. Do you see how this works? This is the PSYOPs playbook. It literally is played out. Now, this isn't about COVID, but if we can break down COVID here, what did they do? This, I don't even care. I'm not saying COVID was real or not. We're not talking about this. We're talking about, let's look at this logically. Holy shit. What do? The first thing they did was divide vaxxers, anti-vaxxers, vaccines, not vaccines, COVID people, not COVID people. Divide. Boom. What's the next thing they do? Chaos. They were do you remember when it was the middle of COVID and they were putting all this BS on television? Like people were dying on the streets and it was like the apocalypse. Listen, man, I lived my entire life through that. And I lived in Canada. And I'm not saying people weren't dying. This is where people go wrong. I'm not saying people weren't dying, but it wasn't the apocalypse. You weren't just walking outside and you're going to drop dead. Bullshit. That wasn't happening, but they sure as hell made it seem like it. So now they divide us. They create this chaos. They keep us inside and they say, guys, hey, if you want outside and you want the peace, here's your prescription. Here it is. Here's your vaccine. Everyone get the vaccine and we can all go back to normal. Did we ever go back to normal? I don't know if anyone can ever logically agree with me and say, no, Kayvon, life's the same it was before COVID. No, it's not. No, it's not. Okay. So then this is where the argument, I'm going a little bit here, but I want you to come in here. So then the argument goes, okay, Kayvon, are you saying then that they plan this whole thing and they use a PSYOPs book on you? No, I'm not saying that. The facts lead to that. It sure as hell looks like it's like that, but I'm not going to go out and say that because that's okay. That's a whole different conversation and a whole different thing that's coming, down the pipeline. But you got to look at the facts. You can't say, no. You got to look at the facts. So Charlie Kirk, our great friend, what do? What happened? As soon as that happened, they divide us again, right versus left versus right. He's a despicable. He deserves to die. Who in war? Did you know in war when the generals killed each other, there was still respect. There was a respect of each side. When a general would surrender, there was a respect. There is no respect in this world for these. There's no respect. It's heinous. It's heinous. And now everyone's all like, I can't believe I lost my job for celebrating. You should lose your job. You're unhinged. Do you think that I want you working for me when you're celebrating someone else's death? Oh, not a chance. So watch go through it again. What do? They created the vision. They created the chaos. And now they're, going to try to give us the fix. What's the fix? We'll see what happens out of this. But what do they just do to Jimmy Kimmel? So on the other side, Jimmy Kimmel, the other side, just right now. I am not agreeing what he said with is right or wrong. But he talked about Charlie Kirk. He had a thought just like Charlie did. And they killed him. They metaphorically killed Jimmy Kimmel. The show instantly shut off. I forget who the actor was. There was an actor who was like backstage ready to go on. Makeup was done. They went right up to her, said, show's done.
Wow.
He's done. Sponsorships, done. Affiliates, gone. The entire network shut down his show. We are not in a world where we can speak freely. We are in a world where free speech has turned into permission speech. And if we do not wake up to this, we are in trouble. Our kids are in trouble. And if you saying, because I'm getting this, Kayvon, you sound like you joined a cult. Sound your conspiracy theory. Nothing I am saying is a cult or conspiracy. It's facts. If you say something that who's they? I'm not going down that road because I don't want to be shot. But you don't have to look hard or deep if you're knowledgeable enough to know who they is. And if you get loud enough, if you control a society enough, control people enough, aka what's happening to Andrew Tate. I'm not going to go down that road, but what happens to our great friend, Jordan Peterson, trying to shut him up. Why? Because he has the voice. And you know who's the voice is the one they don't want? It's the scariest voice. They want the control of this population. You know what the population is? Young men. They want to control young men because young men in power at 20, at 25, where they are liberated and they are free and they can make creative decisions and they're allowed to speak their voice is dangerous. That is dangerous to them because then that means they grow strong, they grow old, they grow like real men, and they don't want that because then those real men will grow up and go, whoa, 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 whoa. Wait a minute. What's going on here? How is the power happening like this? And that's the last thing they want. So what have they done? I'm not saying this. Look at what have they done. Young men, a young white man is scared to even breathe in this world. You say the one thing wrong. They can't, it's crazy what's going on. And nobody's seeing this. And you don't have to go far. And Charlie Kirk knew this. And he did a way better job than I could ever articulate this. And he went to schools after schools after schools and took arrows from every single direction and still got up and fought the thing he was so passionate about, which was helping young men and women understand the world we're living in and look from a different lens. He wasn't asking them to just come straight on over. He was just asking them simply, can you open up your mind a little bit? Can you stop the chaos for a second and just maybe see what's on the other side? And one of those arrows that he was dodging every day turned into a bullet that shot him. How can I not be passionate about this? How can I not be worried about my own life, about my family's life, about my children's future when this stuff is going on? And it's happening everywhere. Every single day it's happening. And that's what they want. But I'm the conspiracy theory. I'm the guy who's gone down the wrong rabbit hole. Interesting.
Remember where you were when you heard?
With Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I was in my office, and that's why I pressed play. I couldn't believe it. I was alone, and I couldn't. I just went online and I go, what? And I go, no, no, and I thought, oh, this is bait. And then all of a sudden, what's going on? Listen, waiting for Candace Owens. I'm waiting for all the people, right? His community to say no one's saying anything. It's insane. And then you know what the worst part is? I'm watching the left celebrate. The left is celebrating this. Now, I'm not saying all, again, not all lefts are celebrating this. There's humans. And where do we lost this world? Why can't left and right debate? What's wrong with debating? Why can't we have the conversation? That was what the debate's all about. My perspective, your perspective, and we listen, we respect, we understand. They don't want the debate anymore. They don't want the talking. They just want the control, the power. And you got, I'm sorry, I'm going to use the words idiots. You got over testosterone, like power driven, hungry idiots that are so little children inside. You know that, operating out of their subconscious of their little child, screwing up this entire world, trying to only protect their own and screwing everything up for this future. No wonder why Elon wants to go to Mars. I want to jump on in with him. I'll tell you, I want to be in the world with Mars. I'm not happy with this world. People are like, Kayvon, what are you talking? Man, I don't know who you are. I've woken up. And so let's talk on the other side. Well, what does the other world look like? Well, I think we need the PSYOPs playbook for a reason. I think we do need to have control. I think everyone all going in the same direction, all wanting the same thing. I don't think that's good either for society. But it doesn't have to have this big divide. We don't have to create so much chaos and control and turmoil and hate and the separation that destroying our society. I think there's a middle ground we can play. We can all sit down and just ask the questions. Okay, you got a good opinion. That's a great opinion. Okay, well, what makes sense today? What have we seen in history in the past? Let's bring in the experts. Like if I was president, I wouldn't be making any of the decisions. I should say that. I wouldn't be making decisions from my perspective. I'd be making decisions from all the experts' perspectives. I would listen to everything, left, right, center, all of them. Show me facts. Show me data. Show me how this supports. Show me, I want to understand the ripple effect. I want to know what happens, not just today or tomorrow for my future and my money for the next 4 years. I want to know what happens 20 years as a result of that. Then I make the effective decision. But if I only see one side, how am I making an effective decision? I'm only making a decision for myself. And I get it. As a man and as a human, I get it. You have all the powers in your hands. Who are you going to protect? You're going to protect everybody else, or you're going to try to protect yours? I get it. I do get the other side of that. But let's start having that conversation without worrying about getting shot.
Where do you think the disconnect on the humanity piece? Why would people celebrate? What are they? How are they interpreting his messages?
So much hate. The left, again, the left or right, whatever side you want to say, there's so much hate. And when I talked about second number 2, cause the chaos. The information they're feeding them such radical information. Both sides are doing this.
So if I understand your stance here is you're looking at it less of one side is to blame or the other side is to blame, but a bit there are bigger issues at odds in our world today that maybe we could take a step back and say, hey, what's
why
really
is this
going
happening?
on? Why is this happening?
Why all of a sudden is all this stuff happening? I got to watch what I'm going to say next because I don't want to go down that road. But why is there this divide happening? Why all of a sudden? Okay, so let me ask you this. I grew up my entire life on the left. I thought I didn't even realize that. I was never even into politics. But when I look back, I'm like, yeah, I grew up on the left. Well, why is that? I went to school. I went to university. And who created that? The left side. Holy shit. So that means my entire narrative as a child was from the perspective from the left side. No wonder why I never looked at the red. The red was always bad to me. I kind of grew up, ooh, those are money hungry guys. They're evil. I've never been more right in my life. In fact, I'm not even a proud right. I'm more of a proud right than I've ever was a left right now with the way it's going. Why are people leaving the left party going to the right? Because they screwed up. They took it too far. Here's the thing. The left to the right side will at least admit they're criminals. The right, they dress them up and they don't even take responsibility of them. They blame everybody else. They don't even take their responsibility. Oh no, we're great over here. We're all high and toddy over here. Nothing's wrong with us. At least the left, at least the right admits that they're radical and crazy. At least they're admitting. At least we have that. So then the other question we talk about is, okay, when we talk about the debate, are we talking about, okay, well, how do we get this conversation going? I don't think we can. I think it's so far gone now. And why? If you and I can't have some fundamental things that we agree on, some like foundations, how can we debate? So in instance, how can we even have a conversation if you think the world is flat? It's automatically, you're better off talking to a tree. The foundation is broken. I can't even debate you because you're not a sound person. I think there's enough evidence. I think there's enough things in the world to prove that the world is round. Science proves that. It's like saying gravity isn't real. You can't argue that. Can you argue that? Can you really argue gravity? No. So now we could talk about, okay, what gravity does. Now there's a foundation there. There's something there. We agree on one foundation at least. Well, what kind of debate are we going to have if all of a sudden you're telling me that gravity's fake? They lied to us. What kind of debate are we going to have? It's pointless. Like, come on. I'm sorry. I don't care. Like, we've accepted this world. I'll say it. I will say it. I actually don't care anymore. We accepted this world that people think they're dogs. Not only do we accept the world that we think they're dogs, we accommodate them. And now I'm supposed to say dog. Well, what? Well, what do you mean?
What's your take on where listening comes in?
Sorry? I did that on purpose. I did it on purpose. You talk, by all means. You had me going. You got me going. You asked me where my fire came from. You asked me where the Charlie, video came from. It came from that. So let's talk about it. Let's go. By all means, I want to hear you.
No,
I want to be proven wrong. I would love to hear a different side of what I'm saying. I would love to say, Kayvon, you're so wrong. You're so offside, and let me show you. Great. I'm actually mean it. Great. I want to hear it. I want the information. But the information I'm gathering, all leading to a certain way. And it's time to take the blinders off people.
Do you think we could accomplish having differing points of view on this show?
Yeah.
Do you think, because that's a goal that I have, is to have
I love it.
People for all walks and all. I'd like to listen to them, try to understand.
That's the thing, is we got to be willing to listen. In order to debate, you got to be willing to be able to change.
Maybe that's why it was so emotional for me to see Charlie take it in the neck, because he was gruff. But first of all, I'm not in his shoes. I'd like to have that degree of, I'd like to think that I could actually, there's something inspiring about going and having a conversation with somebody that is showing that they maybe really are angry at you, even just for showing up. There's something inspiring about that.
Absolutely.
Deeply inspiring about that.
Taking the arrows from all directions. Here's the thing. He didn't need to even go to the universities. He didn't need to do that. But he cared so much. He cared so much about the world, about economics, about politics, about how we're raising our children and how they're being raised in the world we're living in. And he cared so much to try to help these people. Now,
Maybe
people are
what
like,
I'm
oh, he
more
tried to, go on.
maybe what I'm more fixated on, it is the culture piece is uh for culture to work, it's the in between. It's the feedback loops. Open. Karl Popper wrote a book, The Open Society and Its Enemies. And it talks about tolerance. We have to be able to have the conversations. Maybe could people are have differing stances on the content that he stood on, his convictions, his beliefs. But I was looking at how he showed up to the what where are our leaders that can show up and talk and listen,
Yes.
and the humanity in I felt like when I looked at him talk to some of these young people, as he matured and got better and better, he would have had to see the humanity. It's like when you're in a sale, you could ask the questions that you just assume are going to lead to the close. I think you may know what questions over with time, like, that you probably have to ask. But there's a difference between closing and building a relationship with the customer.
100%.
Like,
Yeah.
you could really speak to that as a hot top 1%,
Yeah.
0.0% sales
Yeah. Yeah.
trainer. Like, there's a difference between manipulating and listening
Yeah.
and
Well,
stewarding and guiding. Charlie to me was a guide. He was a
he was
he
a
was a shepherd.
stewardess. Absolutely. He
Yeah,
wasn't.
how he was having the conversations. Try,
I think he was very peaceful. He was one of the lesser, like, you know, we want to call radical people. Like, he was the most peaceful one out of all of them, to be honest with you.
maybe that
And I
subtlety
think
is
that's what shocked the
overlooked.
world. I think that's also shocked their culture too. Was like, Charlie, out of all of them, like, this was the most peaceful one. And yet here's the thing. And yet the left doesn't just say, yeah, he was actually peaceful. Like, why can't we say this? This is the problem. Why can't we say this? He was peaceful. He was trying to create a narrative and trying to wake up the population into his own beliefs. Okay, great. We didn't always agree with him. In fact, some of the stuff we didn't agree at all. We thought it was actually heinous.
I do want to highlight here, though, those that I've talked to that truly seem to have a real, uh, they're not happy with his example. Okay. They're in a lot of pain. So, like, I, I want to know why. And,
Well,
so
the
speaking to
reason
your
why
bigger,
okay,
your
so
bigger,
why are they in pain? Why are we in pain, left or right in pain? Very, very
yeah,
simple.
everyone seems to be in a
Very
lot of
simple.
pain, a lot of pain.
We are in pain because we're watching that the whole idea of our freedom of free speech is going out the toilet. I don't understand what how hard it is to say that. A man goes to universities and speaks his truth, not saying the truth, not saying the right truth, his truth. He isn't violent. He's not attacking anybody. And then whatever side brainwashes people enough to think that what he's saying is the most evil things in the world, evil enough for them to shoot him because he used his voice. If I'm sitting on any side, I'm scared. I'm wondering what's going on with this world. Like if I was a Candace Owens and Shapiro and all the other ones, I'd be scared. I'd be so scared because they're going to be next. And this is the problem. If that starts happening, then what are we as North America, as what I knew it to be, where you can actually have free speech? Go to Iran, go to China, go to Dubai. You'll be protected there, but you can't speak up. You can't speak against. And isn't that what America was all about?
Well,
I'm not American. I just assume that that's what it was always about. The power of free speech.
um, some of the feedback that I've gotten from people is that he was speaking hate speech. Now, what does that mean?
That's the problem. What was his hate? Okay, so what was his hate speech?
So I guess that's if it gets convoluted, it's like that's hateful speech. Yeah, how do we define these terms?
What is hateful speech? Okay, so let's define that. Let's define
Well,
that.
I don't know, right?
Is hate
Yes.
speech telling people that Jesus loves them and he hopes that they find Jesus because he believes that when they do, they'll be a better person? Regardless if you believe in God or not, is
Here's
would that,
here's the my knowledge base I've been building on this topic says that hate speech equals the expression that promotes hatred, discrimination, or violence
exactly.
against a group of people based on who they are. Hate speech generally refers to speech, writing, or expression that attacks, demeans, or incites hostility against people based on characteristics such as race, religion, ethnicity, national origin, gender, sexual orientation,
Yeah.
disability.
So
It's adding, many
yeah.
different.
So find me a clip where he even expresses any hate speech according to that definition.
It says hate speech is not an official legal category on its own in the United States. It becomes unlawful if it crosses into direct incitement of violence, true threats, or harassment. So I think there is a degree of subjectivity with it. Like someone
There's a
could
degree with
say that's hateful to me, or that's how that's becomes confusing or gray. We're in a gray society. The society is
we are
becoming more
it isn't
gray.
so black and white. It isn't.
Isn't that part of the problem? Is that society is becoming more gray. I'm addicted to my feed that is telling me what to think.
Well,
Like
you just okay. Thank you. Just handled that one. You're addicted to your feed that's telling you what and how to think.
it
Do you
just
get
seemed like
that?
the if there's studying like cultures where like in Rwanda how the Tutsis and the Hutu
Yes.
they went against each other and they were killing each other. They killed many people in Rwanda. They called them cockroaches.
Yes.
One side looked at the other side in an inhuman way. So it turns off empathy.
Well,
Like how many people I've talked to that said, I have no sympathy for this person, this Charlie guy. It's turned off. It's because it's good or bad. It's good
yes.
or bad. That scares me as a society,
That's what I'm saying. Why can't it
culture
be
wise.
good
Yeah.
and bad? Why can't it be? There's like we know this law of physics, right? What goes up must come down. It's two things can exist at the same. Good and evil can exist. Why does it always have to be one or the other? And that this is where the culture gets divided. This is where it's being divided. Right there as we're speaking. But you just said something, and I want someone who's listening to this. Please send it to me. Find me a place where Charlie actually said hate speech. Hate speech to me, we talk about, there's a gray area. To me, I would say, okay, let's say, okay, well, what would be a dark area? What would be the red zone of hate speech? All white people are the worst human beings in the world, and we need to kill them all. Watch this. Now I'm going to get this cut, and now I'm going to be the guy that gets, yeah. See what I mean? That's where my brain goes.
That can happen today.
That's going to happen. That's going to happen.
Here's my perspective. I want to play devil's advocate.
But no, hold on.
Okay.
Would we consider that hate speech? And then now I say that there, but I'm getting the community. Now I'm getting people around it. All of a sudden, I'm getting people all tiring around it. Everyone's getting all rattled up. I'm doing my job. That's hate speech. I think that's a pretty black and white there.
I want to.
So I'm trying to defend Charlie here because they're saying he had hate speech. Was he speaking like that? Not at all. Did he invoke violence? Not at all. Did he tell people to kill, to pick up the knives, to pick up the guns and go shoot the other side? Not at all.
No,
So
what he
how?
did do though is he shared what he thought, his fundamental beliefs. If they were rooted in Judeo-Christian
Yes, we know that.
fundamental values, his belief in God, his
Yes.
belief in binary, uh, a binary structure of a
Yeah.
man and a
Yeah.
woman, his defense of the Constitution, his argument for the importance and the necessity of America within the
Yeah.
world specter to give uh, sovereignty of the individual before God. It's rooted in there. And here's my thought on where the animosity or the angst could come from. Um, other other people that are in the Western world or beyond it or have the opportunity, I'd say in the Western world, to pursue different identities outside of the scope of his belief,
100%.
they might take it very personally, his thoughts, his feelings, his emotions, his uh his philosophy, his theology. It might hurt them, like their feelings, because he doesn't believe in their
Yeah.
identity, their worldview.
Okay.
And maybe with the social media, with the big media, all that anger could fuel those people to say, this guy is to blame. He's he's against me,
Yeah.
my identity, my life.
Yeah.
If his beliefs are like completely against in his
My
life,
beliefs. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, my beliefs, now instead of looking in and saying, I'll just keep walking, forget that goofball. It's like I can't even live my life knowing that that guy's alive.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I'm
Do
curious
you
of your thoughts.
understand why you just answered the biggest question at the beginning of this podcast? Why are we all shook? Because of that right there. If I have a belief that I am so convicted of, like the conviction of, and it's who I am, and it's my value, and I'm so proud of it, I have to stay quiet.
Well, if you don't, it's going to challenge that I'm proud of who I am and my identity. So we both can't be alive. One of us has to die.
Well,
That doesn't seem like a long-term strategy
that's
for
not
having
what.
a good
And this is what
society.
I'm saying.
Yeah,
The strategy that we had, the fundamental strategy that I think America had was freedom of speech. Both parties can exist. Both parties can fight and defend their values without
it's interesting.
hate,
It's
without
interesting.
crime, without shooting each other.
It
Holy
seems
moly.
like
Why can't we do that?
well, I wonder it might be for a part two, but I wonder if it's even possible to speak freely if we don't agree on identity.
Well, this is what I
Because
was saying about the
yeah, it's
foundation,
very deep. It's like
right?
there's two different worlds. The world that Charlie embodied, the Judeo-Christian,
Yeah.
you know, world, and the other world. They're so different. It's almost like two different universes.
And this is why I say listen to both. It's not one or like, why does it have to be he's right, they're wrong, they're right, they're wrong? Why
One thing
can't it
that
be?
does concern me though is that we do have enemies in the world. Like every country, right, is
Yeah.
competing for resources and
Yeah.
just like companies compete for resources.
Yes.
They compete for the customer's attention, for the customer's capital.
Yes.
The world is diplomacy, is
But,
Henry Kissinger, is competition. So my fear is that the weaker that our culture is as far as
ugh,
how we communicate, the easier targets we are for our
we
enemies. I'm curious of that. Yeah.
100% we are a target. You don't think we're the laughing stock of the world right now? What's going on in the United States? I'm going to say North America. But they're laughing. China's laughing at us with so much division that's happening. It's a clown. It's a full on clown show.
It's like our individuality that is really our strength is becoming our weakness.
It's it's our it's our individuality that's turned into chaos, that is turned into a clown show, is now becoming our weakness. 100%. And then we put ego in there. And you know what happens when you put ego in there? And then you put your values in there. And then you put the media machine on top of all of it and only showing you what they want and not the whole story, the narrative that they want to shove down your throat. How do you, as a human being, everyday human being, even know? I don't. I don't trust any media. I don't trust left or right. I actually don't believe any information that comes through my brain anymore. I'm sitting there with the filter going, okay, if this, then what? If that happens, then like I'm trying to always put the facts together. Heck, if you knew anything about me, I said my entire life I'm not a politician. I don't want to ever be one. I hate politics for this reason. But something woke up in me when Charlie died.
That's my last question for today is what, where is the, ha, why was this so difficult?
I was faced with an internal question. Do you say nothing, protect your own, and die as a coward, like most men do? Or do you step into your higher power as a leader and start speaking your truth in risk of losing your wife, your kids, your life, getting canceled, but knowing when you die, you never submitted? And the thing that happened when Charlie Kirk woke that up, and once it woke that question up, I can't go to bed denying it. That's the question I'm in right now. Do I just do my thing, protect my own, not get involved with anything, keep my voice quiet, say yes when they ask me, jump as high as they tell me to jump, just try to get through this life with trying to protect it of what I can protect around me? Or do I pick up? I don't want, oh my God, I don't want to say that, like, pick up the gun and start, you know what I mean? But it's not like that. Or do I pick up the sword of freedom, let's call it, the metaphorical sword of freedom, and start fighting the bigger fight that all these people have been fighting that I just have been too stupid to see? So they say Charlie Kirk, his death didn't close down with him. They started a mutiny, and they did. It did. It woke up a lot. I know a lot of people that are not, that even both sides, that are starting to realize this is crazy. This is crazy town we're living in. And I don't know if I'm okay just existing in crazy town. I'd rather die on the pursuit of. I'll leave it there.
Kayvon, thanks for coming on to talk about Charlie and have a level. I like how you really made I think an honest attempt to talk about bigger than just either side. So I really do appreciate that and respect that. And I want to also, in closing, say that Charlie, he was the son of an architect and um, a trader. His mother was a trader in Chicago, like a stock trader, and then became a mental health professional. He also was survived by a son born in 2024, and a daughter in 2022. His wife, they met in 2018. She was going to she was trying to get a job for his company, and he immediately recognized that he wanted to date her instead, and um, asked her to have a burger, go to a burger joint in New York City. And 3.5 hours of questions later, he said, "You're not going to work here at this company. I would like to date you, instead. And she said, well, why can't we just be friends at first? And his answer was, I have plenty of friends. So let's go out this weekend. And I think that's an awesome story. He started in his teens, recognizing that, or in his estimation, his parents are patriotic. So he thought that the some of the beauty of Western society, like the Constitution, was underemphasized in his studies. So he had this idea, after not pursuing academia, to do something in the nonprofit, or to do something politically, and recognize that the nonprofit vehicle could be a means to do that. And one of the things I respect about Charlie the most is that he went to that first university willing to debate, to try to
Yeah.
test his ideas. Quote, prove me wrong. Um, yeah, Charlie Kirk,
People
thanks.
didn't like him because of what you just said there, because he was so good at debate.
Last thing I'll say on that was that he started out as a secular agnostic, studying John Maynard Keynes and Mises and some of these more obscure Austrian economists. But as it seemed to me, one of the more interesting things about his story is, as the crowds grew, and I think the suffering and the burden that comes with that grew, I think his faith grew. And I think there's a connection. That's one of the reasons I respect this conversation for the show. I think there's a connection between the amount of suffering we have to contend with. We have conversation with our enemies, meaning those that oppose the ideas that make up our identities, and how much overwhelming love we need to even have the conversations without losing ourselves in the emotion. How many arguments have we been in with friends, family, and we can't even have one conversation, let alone somebody that would go and have these unbelievably overwhelming debate, personal conversations with strangers. I think him going from an agnostic or whatever he was to believing in something bigger than is very inspiring to me. So thanks for doing this, Kayvon. It's been a pleasure. I look forward to more.
Thank you.
If you're listening to this, share this with someone that has an open mind, or someone that maybe doesn't, that you'd like to open it up. You're willing to channel some of that, Charlie, and have a conversation. We will see you next time on the Culture Matters podcast.